Hello everyone and welcome to another exclusive interview by Financial Insight. I am sitting with Mr. Andrew Kamanga, who is the CEO at Northwestern Energy, just to get his review and remarks around the budget breakfast that was hosted by KPMG and UNDP. This interview is obviously happening after Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane, Zambia's finance minister, presented the 2026 budget. So Andrew, welcome to this interview.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. No, we're now catching up at the tail end of what has been a very interesting 2 weeks of post-budget reflections. You were invited as one of the panelists at the KPMG UNDP budget breakfast. Are you able to just share with us some of the remarks that you gave during that particular panel, and as well as what your key focus points were?
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank KPMG and UNDP for organizing today's event. It's been quite enlightening. I think the key takeaways for me is that prior to the budget, there was a pre-budget study by UNDP, which obviously highlighted a number of issues more on the expenditure side. Yes, the revenue side, it's a 253 billion budget, which is anchored around a big chunk coming out of taxes, which is 84%, and less on the borrowing. Even the domestic borrowing has reduced, but there's been more emphasis from UNDP on the need to support the social sectors, the education sector, the health, as well as social protection. So it's quite an ambitious budget, but it's also attainable. So the key takeaways from the discussion this morning was the importance of ensuring that the targets are maintained, where government is projecting to reduce inflation to somewhere around 6 to 8%, have a GDP growth rate of 6%, maintain the import cover to just about 4 months plus, which are very key targets. But these are obviously coming on the back of the key areas such as mining, energy. There's been a few incentives in the energy sector where there's support to extend the period for the VAT claims on the hydro projects. Right. So the investors will now be able to claim VAT over a 10-year period from 7 years. There's also been a number of incentives or initiatives around open access, net metering, and also even in the petroleum sector. They've allowed open access for the investors in there to also access the Tazama Pipeline. So from that perspective, I think it's worthwhile to look at the energy mix as well. We are targeting to move from 90% hydro, again because of the effects of the weather, the climate. We've seen a drop in power generation coming out of hydro. There's an accelerated effort to get the energy mix set up. We need to see more from solar. I think there's an ambitious target to put in 1,500 megawatts from solar. The Mamba phase 2 is also coming on board. So when you look at that equation, it's dropping the dependence from hydro from 90% to somewhere around 67%, because 33% will be deemed to have come from other sources of energy, which I think is very, very key. We've also seen in there's a mention of some expenditure on the new project, the Zambia Tanzania interconnector, which will open up the northern side of the country to ensure that we are able to import power from the northern side from Tanzania and interconnect into the Eastern African power pool. On the mining side, yes, there's been quite a few incentives, but we expect that the new projects that have been mentioned will continue to increase and push the production to the expected 3 million tons by 2031. This year we are sitting at around 800,000 plus. The initial target is to reach 1 million tons. We hope it comes through. So you can see that there are all these initiatives coming through. Maintaining the flexible exchange rate system by the Bank of Zambia will also ensure that there's predictability. There's a mention of allowing local transactions not to be denominated in foreign currency. That will also give support. And there has also been specific measures announced which are purely to support the SMEs. There's a 5 billion kwacha credit guarantee scheme which will be established. There's also the deposit insurance protection scheme which will go towards ensuring that depositors are protected. So overall, I think it's been an ambitious budget. What we need to see is the debt service. If it will be sustained, it will obviously make sure that the budget is intact. If we balance the budget, well and good. It will be a shame to obviously go into a supplementary budget along the way. Of course, we've got elections coming up next year, which will have a bearing on how the expenditure will be controlled. And there's also a good portion going into infrastructure on the roads. There's been mention of upgrading some airports. So the whole idea is to create a road network that will support the movement of goods and ensure that there's trade within the country, and also as we go outside, ensure that whatever we are producing is taken out on export. And there's also a mechanism to track the proceeds from the exports, so that we are able to see that whatever we are sending out, we are basically bringing in the foreign exchange. So in a nutshell, that summarizes my take on this year's budget.
Right. Now, obviously, with all the different initiatives, if we can call them that, that are in the budget, are there any that obviously directly impact Northwestern Energy? But then, are there also certain things that Northwestern Energy would like to get a bit more clarity, or sources of concern that might need to be looked into further?
Well, I think for us as Northwestern Energy is to see more reforms in the sector where we can have additional opportunities. For us, we are seeing solar as a good option. We are actually, we've done a feasibility study. We are going to have an investment in solar for 60 megawatts. Initially, we will start at 20 and then scale it up. So we think that the reforms are adequate, and they give us that impetus to move to the next stage where we can also get involved in generation. And of course, once we have the generation, then we can sustain the distribution and also look at additional areas where we can invest in our distribution activities. But most importantly, I think the power sector needs to be looked at and taken more on a long-term view. Yes, we've seen the shocks coming out of load shedding, but these are things which could have been avoided. So the planning side of it is very key. We need to plan for the next 5 years, 10, 20, 50 years, so that we avoid what we've just gone through in the last 2 years, which could have been avoidable. Just to give you an example, the Zambia-Tanzania interconnector project has always been there. I first came to learn about it in 1994, which is obviously 31 years ago. So if it's a project which had been implemented, I don't think would be struggling today with importing power from the northern side. But also with the energy mix, it's very, very important that we continue exploring. Outside thermal and coal, we have to think about producing power from gas. Our colleagues in Tanzania have a lot of gas. We need to think of bringing that gas here. We produce power. We also have coal-bed methane, which comes out of coal. So there are so many areas. We have wind energy. So there's opportunities everywhere. But what we need to do is nurture and enhance these opportunities so that they're able to see the light of day. With the coming in of the target to increase the copper production, the demand for power is obviously going to go up. To be able to sustain that 3 million ton mark, it requires a lot of power. So the industry, I think, is ready to take on the challenges.
Absolutely. Now, Mr. Kamanga, thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you. You're always welcome. And it's a pleasure to be a guest on FI all the time.
Absolutely.
And you're doing a fantastic job. And congratulations.
Thank you so much. We got awarded, double award at the Zambia Capital Markets Conference and Awards.
It only shows the amount of work and recognition that FI is receiving. We hope next year you get more awards. Absolutely.
And we thank you for your support as well and giving us all these insights.
You're always welcome. Thank you.
Absolutely. So there you have it. We've gotten the exclusive interview with the CEO at Northwestern Energy, Mr. Andrew Kamanga. So stay tuned for more post-budget reflections and insights right here on the Financial Insight platform.